Imagine arriving at a village where life appears to have stopped mid-moment. Fires are still warm, food is still half-prepared, dogs cry from hunger, roaming freely and abandoned, but every single human being is gone. This isn't a horror movie. This is one of Canada's most disturbing unsolved disappearances, the mystery of Anjikuni Lake. In November of 1930, in the extreme north of Canada, a remote Inuit settlement near Anjikuni Lake reportedly vanished. Not one or two people, not a family, but an entire community estimated at over 200 men, women and children. No warning, no survivors, no confirmed explanation. The region was brutally isolated, hundreds of miles from the nearest permanent settlement. No roads, no radio, no rapid rescue. The people of Anjikuni lived traditionally, hunting, fishing, travelling by dog sled. They understood the land, they understood the cold. They were not inexperienced, nor were they reckless, which is exactly why what happened next is so unsettling. According to reports, a fur trapper named Joe Labelle arrived at the village during his usual route. He expected smoke, movement, the usual noises associated with life. Instead, he found silence.
Hello? Anyone here?
No children, no elders, no hunters returning, just wind and dogs. Labelle later claimed that sled dogs had been left tied and unfed. Some reportedly starved to death. In Arctic communities, dogs are essential. They were transportation, they were survival. Abandoning them would have been unthinkable. Inside the cabins, the scene was worse. Meals were left cooking, furs and weapons, valuable trade goods were untouched. Clothes laid folded neatly, as if the owners planned to return. There were no signs of violence, no overturned furniture, no blood, and perhaps most disturbing of all, there were no footprints leaving the village. In a frozen environment where every movement is recorded in snow, this detail matters. No trail, no mass migration, no panic, just absence. Labelle later said he felt an overwhelming sense of dread, as if something was deeply wrong with the place itself. Not fear of the cold, not fear of animals, but a fear he couldn't explain. Authorities were notified, but due to the remoteness of the area, investigators arrived days later, but what they found only deepened the mystery. Food stores meant to last the winter were left behind. Weapons and tools essential for survival were untouched. No evidence of struggle or evacuation. Some reports, though heavily debated, claim the village cemetery had disturbed graves. Others insist this detail was added later through exaggeration, and this is where the story begins to fracture. Because here's the truth. There are no official RCMP records confirming the disappearance of 200 people from Anjikuni Lake, and that fact alone has fueled decades of debate. Some historians argue the story was exaggerated by newspapers in the 1930s, a time when sensational headlines sold papers. Others suggest Anjikuni may have been a seasonal camp rather than a permanent settlement. But even skeptics admit something did happen. Why? Because Inuit families from the region later reported entire kinship lines simply ended. No descendants, no migration stories, no spoken history explaining where they went. Local Inuit elders offered a different perspective. They spoke of ancient warnings, stories passed down for generations, stories of times when entire communities were taken, either as punishment or as protection from something worse. Others reported seeing strange lights in the sky around the time of the disappearance, silent, moving unnaturally. Decades later, these accounts would be lumped into UFO lore, but at the time, they were simply described as lights that did not behave like stars. More rational explanations have been proposed. Sudden relocation, starvation, a hunting expedition gone wrong, but none fully explain the abandoned food, the untouched supplies, or the lack of tracks. And no matter the theory, no bodies have ever been found. Not in the snow, not in nearby lakes, not downstream, nothing. Today, the exact location of the Anjikuni Lake settlement is difficult to confirm. Satellite imagery shows no clear remains, no foundations, no visible ruins. It's as if time and the land itself erased it. So what really happened at Anjikuni? Was it a misunderstood historical event? A tragic migration lost to poor record keeping? Or something far stranger? Because even if part of the story is true, it means an entire community disappeared without a sound, leaving behind warm fires, empty cabins, and a question that has never been answered. And if that can happen once, What else has vanished, far from roads, far from records, when no one was there to watch? Sometimes the scariest mysteries aren't the ones with answers, but the ones that leave nothing behind at all.